All right, so get this, the AI market. They're saying it's going to hit like $800 billion by 2030.
Wow.
Yeah, 800 billion. That's not just, some tech trend. That's our future right there, knocking on the door.
Right.
And you know what? Today we're gonna peek inside. We're gonna see what's up.
Yeah.
You sent over this article. It was really interesting about, centralized versus decentralized AI.
Yeah.
And it really got me thinking, like, what kind of future are we actually building with all this tech,
It's a huge question.
It is.
And the answer is probably a lot closer to home than a lot of people think.
Yeah.
Because this isn't just about algorithms and like data centers and all that. It's about who controls the information that's shaping our lives every day.
Okay, so for people like me who, need it broken down a little bit.
Sure.
The article uses this library analogy, and I thought it was really, really helpful.
Yeah.
So, imagine a library, right? Where every single book, every little bit of information, it's all stored in this one giant, heavily guarded building.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like Google, OpenAI, that's centralized AI.
Exactly. Yeah. That's centralized.
Yeah.
And while there's certain, efficiency to that approach, there are also some real risks that come with it.
Oh, okay.
You got to think. If all the information's in one place, it becomes a target,
Yeah.
Data breaches, they're not just like a hypothetical risk anymore. We see it all the time.
It's true.
All the time.
Yeah, just last year, that huge breach with that financial services company, I mean, millions of people's data just out there.
Yeah.
And it's not just companies either. It's, government databases they're vulnerable to. It's kind of scary when you really think about it.
It's true. And it goes beyond security, too.
Yeah.
When you have just a handful of companies, and they're the ones controlling all the data, the algorithms, it automatically, inherently limits the perspectives that are even being represented in the first place.
Right.
They basically become these gatekeepers of knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Which, obviously that can lead to bias. It can even lead to censorship, even if it's unintentional.
Wow, I didn't even think about it that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so centralized AI, it's like this massive, kind of maybe vulnerable library.
Yeah.
What's the alternative? What are we looking at?
Well, that's where this idea of decentralized AI comes in, right? So instead of having one central repository for everything, imagine that knowledge, all that information, but it's distributed across a whole network of smaller libraries.
Okay.
Right? And that network, it could even extend into your own home. You have access to the information, and this is the crucial part, you have way more control over your own data.
So instead of like the mega library, it's like we've got this network of almost like community libraries.
I like that, yeah.
With their own collections, their own way of doing things.
That's a great way to put it, yeah, because with decentralized AI, you're not relying on this one single entity to make all the rules. It's about distributing the power, making things more transparent, and ultimately fostering a more diverse and resilient AI ecosystem.
Okay. Yeah, I'm starting to get the appeal of this whole decentralized thing, but how does it actually work?
Yeah.
It sounds kind of like, I don't know, this abstract idea, how do you make it real?
I know it can sound a little futuristic.
Yeah.
But the technology, it's already here.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, the article actually, it lays out some of the key players, some of these really cool innovations that are driving this whole shift.
Okay, so walk me through it, what are the actual building blocks of this whole decentralized AI thing?
Sure. So one of the most important elements, it's these things called open source models.
Okay.
So imagine blueprints, right?
Yeah.
But for AI algorithms.
Yeah.
But anyone can access them, they can modify them, improve upon them. It's like this global collaborative effort to build AI rather than just, a few companies keeping their algorithms top secret, locked away.
Oh, I like that. So it's less like black box, more like everybody's working on it kind of thing.
Exactly, yeah. Transparency, shared knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But don't these models need a ton of computing power?
They do.
Isn't that a problem if you don't have Google's resources behind you?
That's where decentralized computing comes in.
Okay.
Imagine being able to use the processing power of millions of devices all around the world.
Wow.
It's like an Airbnb, but for computing resources.
Oh, that's interesting.
People can rent out their idle computer power to the network.
Wow.
And it creates this vast distributed supercomputer, essentially.
So instead of needing like these huge data centers, you're just using the collective power of whatever devices people have.
Exactly.
That's like a giant virtual supercomputer.
I like it. That's a good way to put it.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
And to address the, the obvious privacy concerns that come with sharing all this data,
Of course, yeah.
there's something called federated learning.
Okay.
This allows AI models to be trained on data that stays spread out across a bunch of different devices.
Okay.
So you're learning from, like, the wisdom of the crowd, essentially.
Right.
But nobody has to actually give up their personal information.
Okay, so how does that, like, actually work, practically speaking?
So imagine you're training an AI model
Right.
to recognize different types of plants.
Okay.
With federated learning, your phone, it learns from the pictures you take. My phone learns from mine. But we don't have to send our pictures to some central server.
Oh.
A model gets smarter without needing our private data.
So it's like each device has like a little piece of the puzzle.
Yeah,
But nobody has to like give up the whole picture.
exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. What else is in this like decentralized AI toolkit?
Oh, there's more. Yeah, edge computing is another big one.
Okay.
So instead of sending data off to a data center somewhere to get processed,
Yeah.
edge computing does it right there on your phone, on your device.
Oh, okay.
So it's faster and way better for privacy. Your data's not going all over the place.
So it's like you have a little mini like AI assistant like right there on your device making the decision.
Exactly. It's all happening locally.
Oh, that's neat. That's very cool.
And then to connect everything, we have peer-to-peer networks, right? So devices can talk to each other directly.
More control, less middleman.
Exactly. Cut out the middleman. Much more efficient.
Okay, this is really fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
But with all this data like flying around, how do you trust it?
That's where blockchain comes in.
Blockchain.
Yeah, it's a digital ledger,
Right.
but it's tamper-proof.
Okay.
Keeps track of every transaction, every interaction on the network.
So it's like a public record
Let's say that. Yeah.
that everybody can see but nobody can mess with it.
Exactly. Yeah. Transparency and security.
Clever, very clever. Are there any other like pieces of tech that make this all work?
Well, we got to talk about smart contracts.
Smart contracts.
These are basically contracts, but written in code.
Right.
And they run themselves automatically.
Oh, wow.
So you don't need, you guessed it, a central authority to make sure everything happens the way it's supposed to.
Wow.
Opens up a lot of possibilities for collaboration, for commerce, all decentralized.
Okay, so we've got open source decentralized computing, federated learning, edge computing, peer-to-peer, blockchain, smart contracts.
It's a lot.
It's a lot, but it sounds like a really, really strong foundation for this whole idea of a decentralized future.
It is, and the best part is, this isn't just theoretical.
Yeah.
There are companies, organizations building real stuff with this right now.
The article mentioned a couple, right? Like it feels like this whole new world of innovation is just like exploding. So we went from this whole thing of like this giant library controlled by, the powers that be to this idea of like this network, this knowledge sharing network where everyone has a voice, everyone has a say. It's kind of wild when you think about it.
It's a huge shift.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting. And it's not just about the technology itself, it's about the values that are baked into that technology.
Right.
Decentralized AI, I really believe it has the potential to level the playing field,
Yeah.
where innovation can come from anywhere.
Yeah.
Not just from, Silicon Valley or these big companies.
Yeah, it's that whole empowerment thing, right? Giving people control over their data, their AI like experience.
Exactly.
But let's be real for a sec. Like, is a truly decentralized system? Is it even possible? Because won't these big companies find a way to like, I don't know, wiggle their way in, even if it's decentralized?
Yeah. No, it's a valid question.
Yeah.
And a really important one. And honestly, there are a lot of challenges that we're going to have to figure out. It's not going to be, perfect right away.
Of course, yeah.
One of the biggest ones is scalability.
Mm-hmm.
Can these decentralized networks, can they handle the massive amounts of data, the processing power that AI needs, And then there's the whole legal side, regulatory. How do we make sure that it's developing responsibly? That nobody's using it for bad stuff.
Right.
But also without like killing innovation. It's a tough balance to find.
It's like it's not a magic solution. It's more like a whole new set of tools,
I like that, yeah.
that we can use to build something better, but where do we even begin?
I mean, the possibilities are almost endless, right?
Right.
Think about social media for a second. Imagine a social network, but it's decentralized.
Okay.
You control all your data, everybody knows how the algorithms work, and censorship, it's basically impossible because it's
Yeah.
the community that decides,
Right. Right.
Or healthcare. What if your medical records, they were yours? Like, actually yours.
Yeah.
And you could choose to share them with a doctor or researcher, but it's your choice.
Yeah. You're in control.
You're in control. The article even talked about like supply chain management, how decentralized AI could make everything more efficient,
Yeah.
less likely to break down.
So we're talking about like reshaping entire industries potentially.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, it's huge.
It's exciting, but it's also a little overwhelming.
It is.
Like where do we even start?
And that's kind of the beauty of it,
Yeah.
This isn't something that some big company or government is going to like hand down from on high.
Right.
This is going to come from us,
Hmm.
from developers, from everyday people asking questions, demanding better.
So it's a team effort.
Yeah, it's about shaping the future of AI
Hmm.
in a way that benefits humanity,
Hmm.
not the other way around.
Right. It's got to work for us, not the machines.
Exactly.
Well, you've definitely given our listeners a lot to think about today.
I hope so.
As we wrap up here, what's the one thing, the one like takeaway you really want people to remember from all of this?
I think the biggest thing is that the future of AI, it's not set in stone. It's being written right now. And all of us, we all have a role to play in how that story unfolds.
Yeah, it's not predetermined.
Exactly. The choices we make now, the questions we ask, they all matter. So stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay engaged, because this is too important to just, let happen to us.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Well, on that note, we'll leave you to ponder those big questions. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of centralized versus decentralized AI. And until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep asking those tough questions.